Hi, you're listening to Must In-Laws Be Outlaws, the podcast that proves even the rockiest of relationships, in-laws being in particular, can turn into the greatest of friendships.
Want the inside scoop of how we did it and how you can too? Tune in to find out.
Hosted by Lucette Bloomgarden, that's me.
The mother-in-law, and me, Cathy Reva Bloomgarden, the daughter-in-law.
Okay, every episode we will try to insert
Just tell a joke.
a joke.
Just tell a joke.
And today's joke is, what's the definition of mixed feelings?
What's the definition of mixed feelings?
When your Maserati goes over a cliff with your mother-in-law in it.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's mixed feelings.
That's why we're doing the podcast. We want to change the stereotype that the mother-in-law is the bad guy.
So one of the things, we did our first podcast yesterday, and we were thrilled. We showed it to a number of people, and we got wonderful reactions. But we were also very self-critical. Yesterday's had a doorknob in it, in the background. Well, we've removed the doorknob, so that's one thing. But the other things are how we talk and what we say. And what do you think is different today that we're doing?
Well, I was going to ask you what's on your mind, so I guess maybe that's what's on your mind. What's on my mind is, it's funny. I really have more respect for people who like Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, because they live together and they work together. And we've been living and working together for the past week doing this podcast. And it gives me a whole new relationship respect for people who work and live together. It's really, what do you have to come and talk about that's new and different? We were just with each other like 24/7. So how do we have different conversations?
That's actually a very good point.
So how do you bring that to your relationships?
Well, it's interesting because we bring an entirely different background to the table. Cathy, as she said, is from Alabama, and I am from New York. It's almost like never the twain shall meet. Alabamians and New Yorkers are not the same. And she's here to attest to it. Because Tell them again what it is you expected when you came to New York.
Well, just to recap the last episode, the first I don't really want to go backwards. Can we just go forwards?
Yeah, but the one thing that's important is the one thing you expected that was so different from and it's important for us to know
that you guys were judgmental.
No. That was not what I was looking for. No, the fact that the politeness that didn't exist.
Oh, yeah. Well, because my culture, when I come from Mobile, Alabama, we were brought up to be very polite.
Right. No matter what you thought.
Yeah, you respected your elders, so you always were in deference to whatever they were saying.
Okay, let's move forward now.
Yeah.
Right. No, but that's important because New Yorkers, they don't give a hoot.
It's true.
They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but they'll say whatever they want to say. And that's okay, too. That's the point. Being polite is okay. Being not polite is okay. It's okay. We need to accept people for who they are, not what we want them to be.
Yeah, that's easier said than done, right? That's good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe we'll get into the topic. So we've discussed what's on your mind, which was that we are moving forward. And did you want to talk about how you're handling holiday stress? The holidays are coming up. You've got Hanukkah. I've got Christmas. What's the plan?
Well, it's very interesting because I thought it was only my family that argued at Thanksgiving. We celebrate Hanukkah. Cathy's family celebrates Christmas. We just thought it was our family that would argue every single time we get together for a state occasion, until I started seeing things on TV where they would insert it into sitcoms where people would talk about it. How can we avoid falling into the same pitfalls year after year? What do you think?
That's a great question. In my family, I think what happens is if people are drinking too much, that's when I think we start a downward spiral of strong opinions. So I think that it's hard to um, be equal when you don't always agree with your family. So I think that the best thing to do would be just to go in knowing that everyone's got a different opinion and not take it personally, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's very interesting. We've talked about a few different things already. We've done several podcasts and we've talked about different things. And we came up with a bit of a paradigm that really will work. We've tried it out. We've suggested it to other people. They've tried it out. You have to be committed to it. The paradigm is 3 steps, and they're very simple. The first step is how to handle the holiday stress with family. So going in, there's going to be stress. The same people will be there. You love them dearly, but they react to the same motivations and you react to your motivations. How do you pre-plan your reaction before you walk through that door?
Well, I think you said it best. Do we want to train our brain knowing that we are going into a situation where we can expect family patterns to erupt? How do we disrupt the pattern? And I think you said it best with the 3 steps for success. Like, what are the 3 steps to success in any relationship? You have a good thought here.
Okay, so the second one is
Oh, the first one.
the first one is um, whether you should react or act. And that's important because most of us tend to automatically react.
I react.
Well, but we all do. We all do. It's like somebody says something, they press your button. We all know about the buttons. Everybody knows about the buttons. Your mother presses your button, your father presses your sister, your brother. We all do. This works right across the board. So how do you stop reacting to the buttons? Well, the old adage of counting to 10 should work, but nobody does it. However, then you have to go to the next part of the question, and that is think to yourself. I have to laugh at that because when you're thinking, it's always to yourself. So it always makes me laugh. Or people say, I was thinking in my head. Where do you usually think? In your finger? Anyway, that's a little bit of an aside. But anyway, you have to think that what will the result be if I do my normal reaction? And if you give that just a few seconds of thought, that will stop you in your tracks.
So I'm going to stop you in your tracks right here because I disagree with that a tiny bit.
Okay.
So I think that these 3 tips for success in a relationship are great, and they only work if you practice them beforehand, and it might take years. But you have to practice them beforehand because let me tell you, like once I'm tired and I'm mad and somebody's, pushed my buttons, I'm not going to think about how I want my response or my reaction to land. I'm just going to lash out because I am at capacity.
Okay, but if you ask yourself, if you can, and she's right.
Once the train's left the station and my temper's already like full speed ahead, I do not have the ability in my 53 years of life to stop it. It's too late once I'm mad.
And you're right, though. If you do practice them, just in your head, you don't have to do it verbally or out loud to anybody else, but in your head, if you ask yourself these questions, okay, what will the result be if I do react? The question number 2, is that what I really want? That'll stop you. That will stop you right away because even if you want to press somebody else's buttons, you know that it will escalate and you know that's not what you really want.
And you know what? I'll add to that, right? So, just to continue on to the theme that I don't have the ability to do this in real time, I would hold the possibility there's a 4th thing. The 4th thing is repair. Repair is when you aren't able to follow these really wise sage advice.
What do you mean by repair?
The repair is when I lash out at anyone, at you, at someone, And then I feel so terrible about it in the moment or even the day later. I can come back and say, I'm really sorry for my behavior. I was tired and hungry or whatever I was, and I just want to apologize. And I really sincerely think I hurt your feelings and I didn't mean to. The repair is almost as important as the wound, because in humanity, we're always going to have all these issues, where we are, we're human, right? So we're going to have emotion and we're going to have all these messy parts. But if we can claim and clean up our side of the street, like what our process is, and then apologize for it, I'm not saying it makes it right. I'm just saying that the quicker we can get to a repair, the more the strengthening in the relationship happens. You get a stronger relationship with repair.
I partially agree with you, but not entirely. And the reason is if we don't follow these steps to prevent our explosive behavior, um, each time you go the next day, you apologize, it becomes less and less effective.
So that's true. I agree. So you have to do both, right? You have to follow 4 steps repeatedly, and it's not to not follow the steps.
We didn't give them the third step.
Okay.
The third step, the second step is this what I want? Well, we know this is not what I want. But the third step is, if not, how should I approach this? And believe it or not, you will get good at this and you will be able to think of an alternative so quickly it's going to shock you. You'll know the person you're talking to, you'll know which buttons you can push to get a negative reaction, and you might in the beginning be able to press a different button that might get a more positive reaction. And as time goes on, the likelihood is you'll be able to do it quicker and quicker. It won't be so fast in the beginning. And then the fourth step, as Cathy brought up, is go, if you still have exploded, then don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry. I was tired, or I was sleep deprived, or whatever it is, whatever. Joe Schmo really upset me. So actually, there are 4 very simple steps.
So repeat them back. What are they? It's what I hear. I heard we all should try and react, and we should act instead of react, right? Then we should think about what the result will be if I react, and is that really what I want to have happen? And then, if not, how should I approach this? And then the fourth step is that if it happens that I have a tone, or it doesn't have to be an explosion, by the way. I think it could easily be a tone, or it could be lots of different ways of like expressions of anger. But I think that the repair is the fourth thing, and the repair is not to be misused. It is only if you're practicing the first 3 steps regularly, so that you're I'm growing. So like, I know I used to get snappy a lot more than I do now, but now things roll off my back easier because I have practiced these steps.
And the mantra that you can use to get you into that groove of the 3 steps is act, don't react. If you use that mantra, you'll automatically fall into the 4 steps. You'll be shocked. You will be shocked how it works. It'll take a little bit of practice, but not as much as you might think. And the outcome may be absolutely wonderful. And we've talked about in the past the fact that Cathy and I did not get along at the beginning of our relationship. And both of us have changed. Both of us have evolved. And the idea that we get along so well is not so surprising, because when the 2 parties are willing to be accepting and change, evolution.
But I think we have
place.
to give the audience an example of when it didn't go well for us. So like, I'll even just give an example. Like last night, I came home and I was staying at your house and the technology wasn't working. And after a while, that's really frustrating. Like I'm okay at technology and it just wasn't working. And I was tired and I'd had a long day. And one of my pet peeves, which I do think we should include as in the segment, is when I'm tired and like the signs are clear, like I start to get the tone, like there's all these things. Like then people ask questions like, do you think the popcorn's ready? And I'm like, what does that have to do with what I'm doing right now? That is not helpful. Do you think I want a question like that takes me off my focus, or I'm trying to help everybody do something, whatever?
By the way, it
So
wasn't me who did that. So I don't want you to think I was the trigger.
Okay, fair enough. But my point is, these tools are good, but they're not foolproof, right? Like, I have been practicing mindfulness and meditation for almost 15 years, for over 15 years, almost 20 years. And I think that that we're not supposed to be perfect. We're supposed to make mistakes. So what I do now is I look at the amount of time I go from that frustration feeling to how quickly I can pull myself out of it and then apologize. So that was in real time, and I apologized first thing this morning. It was late last night this happened, and so I apologized first thing this morning. But I think that's an indication of if your practice is going well, that you don't get so attached. Your anger doesn't last as long, and your frustration or whatever it is that you know in the moment that's heated you up, that has nothing to do necessarily with the other person, but it is that ability to shorten the span of how long you linger in the frustration.
And the other thing that you have to be very mindful of is we always have alternatives. When you're in the midst of reacting, which is not a good thing, tell yourself you have alternatives. You can approach this person a completely different way. You can approach them in something that you know that they will have a positive reaction.
And what's some examples of that? Like real life. Give me something. Give me an example of your life where you've used these tools successfully.
Okay, well, I have 3 sons and a brother. And men have issues just like women do, but the issues are different. One of the things I have learned is that I cannot tell my children or my husband, you should do this. Oh, that's not good. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
That's true.
So when I'm tired or short fused, I can't even think to be more tactful. But if I give it just a little bit of thought, not even a whole lot, if I approach it another way, like, what do you think would be a good way to resolve this issue? Or do you have a suggestion that we could both use? In other words, give the other person the control. We're always a little afraid to relinquish our control. Don't be afraid. It really puts you in a much better spot.
Oh, that's good advice. That's really good. I'll give that some thought. I like that.
I like her
appreciate that.
reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I hate giving up control. So yeah, that's I'm gonna try it. I'll let you know. Tune in next week.
Well, but using these steps, these tools, and again, the mantra, don't react, act. You will have more control than you've ever had before without having to bludgeon the other person that, see, I'm in control, see, I'm in control. Because we all want to do that deep down. So act, don't react.
Okay, now we're ready for Who Gets the Last Word. We are there. So Who Gets the Last Word is a segment that we ask the audience questions. Please give us your feedback. You can email us at mustinlawsbeoutlaws@gmail.com. What is the email again? It was mustinlawsbeoutlaws@gmail.com. And we want to hear from you. So Who Gets the Last Word is when the audience writes in and they have a list of questions. Right. And so we have a couple of questions here.
A couple of really good questions.
That people have sent in to us, and they are, you can pick. You get to read
Okay.
this time.
Well, one of the questions really resonated with me, and it was, what do you do if you're the daughter-in-law and your mother-in-law has her own daughter and treats that daughter very differently? When she'll buy gifts, she buys a better gift for that daughter. When she talks, she prefers that daughter. Every step of the way, you start, at first you're not aware, but then you begin to almost read into it before it actually happens. How should you handle it? As a daughter-in-law, what would you do?
Am I the daughter-in-law who's getting lots of gifts? I don't know. It sounds pretty fun. No, I look. I think I'm not sure that it would bother me because, like, the bloodline of the mom. Like, for example, I have a daughter, and I'm trying to think of, like, if I were in that situation, how I would feel if the daughter of the mother-in-law was giving more. I don't know. I'm not sure it would bother me that much.
Uh,
Truthfully, it feels like it would be okay because, like, it's her daughter. She gave birth to that kid.
One key thing, and I'm going to share something that happened with me because when I read that question, it resonated with me. When I was a young woman, we had no children yet. My in-laws had taken a trip to Mexico, and when they came back, they brought tons of souvenirs, nothing important, serapes, ponchos, drums, and they made a big deal out of all of us being together and then giving out the gifts. So all the girls, I have two sisters-in-law, and my husband, the one male, the male got his gifts and the females all got the same gifts. Well, I was so impressed with my in-laws. And I went back to my own mother and I said, wow, they are so fair. Look what they did, blah, 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 blah. Okay. A couple of years go by and I meet my sister-in-law for lunch. And she's wearing a stunning pin. Mind you, all those other gifts were little, as we say, tchotchkes. But she's wearing this gorgeous pin. And I said to her, that is a gorgeous pin. Where did you get that pin? Oh, she says, Mom brought it back from and she pauses, realizing she's right in the middle. And she said, oh, they brought it from Mexico, but that was years before they knew you. They had never gone to Mexico even once before they knew us. And then I realized what happened is my mother-in-law gave them the important gifts privately, and the unimportant gifts she did publicly. So, going back to what Cathy said, there is a way to deal with this, and the way to deal with it is honestly.
Yeah, I would say that's what strikes me about the audience member who asked the question in the example you just brought up, it sounds like the gift giving isn't the problem. It's the honesty that's the problem. You were
That's
really
correct.
hurt because they didn't appear to be telling the truth. And that is not your way of life. Like
That's right.
you think that because you are honest and you are authentic, that people would just be the same. And when they weren't in this instance, it feels like that was very hurtful because they just, they just.
Oh, sure. Okay, so now let's just take it one step beyond. What if my mother-in-law was honest? What if she said, oh, I'm giving my daughters this pin, but I didn't buy one for you. Now
I think you'd be okay with that. I think you'd actually be
and
okay with that.
I think that I would have been. I
Because
would
it's
have been.
honesty for you, is what I hear.
That's
It broke your heart.
Yeah, it broke my heart.
It broke your heart.
Because
I
I
hear
thought
that.
she's right. She hit it right on the head. It broke my heart because I had put so much stock in how wonderful my in-laws were, and this was an aberration that didn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the message to take away is that when you are in a relationship with a mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, anyone really, honesty is really the best policy. It's not easy, right? Because you never want to hurt someone's feelings, but unintentionally, perhaps, that this woman who gave the better gifts later hurt your feelings, not because she gave better gifts, but because she lied.
That's true. I know there's another
Well,
question.
no, we only have time for one because who gets the last word is our final say in the answer in the matter. But we want you to vote on the tagline, right?
She does keep me honest, by the way.
So you guys are voting on the tagline. The audience gets to choose. So read them a tagline to choose from. Would you like to vote for option 1, which is
From tension to triumph, navigating the in-law or any relationships with grace and growth?
or do you like unlocking the power of partnership? How in-laws become allies. Or the final one,
which is navigating the hard parts, celebrating the hard parts, HEART, a conversation between in-laws. And by the way, If you don't like any of them, suggest your own.
Yeah, send us your own.
We
And
welcome it.
our email is doinlaws-have-to-be-outlaws@gmail.com, which you can see on the screen. All right. Thanks. That's it for this episode. Tune in next week when we talk about something else.
There we go. Thank you.